Well, we just saw Pirates of the Caribbean, the 5th movie in the series, and if you think 5 is a lot, 13 is the number of times I was distracted by somebody looking at their phone.
13 times?
13 times.
Well, I was distracted because somebody decided to go to IMAX theater, and I was very squished.
It was very squished in the IMAX theater, but...
It's worth it, though.
It is worth it. The sound was great. I love the sound. I was always resistant to people being like, oh, movies are a terrible place. I love the movies. I love the movies so much.
Oh, yeah. That's why we're doing this. The Terrance and Roy show.
Yeah, the Terrance and Roy at the movie show. Yeah. That's why we're doing this. Maybe next week we'll have actual stuff on this wall and a mic people can hear. But this week, it's just all rage because 13 times. That doesn't even count the previews. Previews I'm a little bit more lenient in. But
who was doing it?
Well, you did it like 3 times.
Yes.
And
yes.
The guy next to me on the other side, he was on his phone constantly. Like 8 of the times were this one guy. It got to the point where I almost legitimately, like, subconsciously elbowed him. Like, I went to, like, move to adjust myself to get more comfortable, and I almost, like, hit the guy with my elbow on purpose. Kind of subconsciously.
I'm pretty sure you could have did that anyways, because there's, like, no room in the IMAX theater.
The whole time I was trying to be, like, careful. I was, like, I was all like this and everything. I was like, don't encroach on anyone's space. And the more this guy was on his phone, the more I was like, oh, come on. Get out of here.
Oh, man. So
13 times. What did you think of the movie? Of Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man Tell No Tales.
So, Pirates of the Caribbean, initial thoughts, beyond the IMAX theater, it was actually really, really good. I was actually going to say it's definitely not the top one, but it's definitely my top 3. And maybe I wanted to kind of ask you, what was your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it might end up being it might be 3rd for me on my list of the Pirates movies. I had a really, really mixed feelings about it. A lot of parts of it were really good and a lot weren't at all.
See, I thought a lot of it was really good because to me, it actually started to reminisce me back to the first movie.
Yeah.
It was like watching a rerun a lot of the time, but a good rerun that I was like, I could see this multiple times. And I don't actually say that too often.
That's true. You only go to a movie once, really. You're not like me. I went to see Shanghai Nights 4 times in the theater.
I've still only seen that movie like twice in my entire life.
Oh, man. What a great movie. This movie, though... I think my overall theory on this movie was that, like, it kind of reminded me of if, like, a 5-year-old wrote it, but not just in the bad way, but also in the good way. Where, like,
Don't get me wrong, it was horribly corny.
Well, you're, like, talking to a 5-year-old, and they're talking, like, a bunch of nonsense, and then out of nowhere they say something really funny. That's kind of what this movie was like. And then, like, the 5-year-old continues to talk a bunch of nonsense, and then just says something really awesome. Just comes up with something really awesome out of nowhere.
I thought the writing was awesome because it was. You want to talk about 13 times? I think I found myself laughing out loud at least 13 times.
Well, see, this is where I totally disagree with you because I thought the story was awesome. I thought the dialogue, for the most part, was kind of bad. Mostly, there are different things we're getting in the way. Like, only really about like 30% of the comedy hit for me.
Really?
But to be fair,
everybody was laughing.
It might have ended up being slightly higher than that because at least 2 or 3 times there was a joke I probably would have laughed at. But, like, again, I was distracted by somebody on their phone right before that.
Well, I'm not even going to lie. Like, to me, like, even some of the comedy took me a second to actually kind of get.
Yeah, I don't know. Some of the comedy just took me out of it. I don't know. It's weird to say this for a Pirates movie, but it was really over the top. Even for a Pirates movie?
It was, but even just going back to the beginning, like at first I was like, okay, this is kind of lame. And then they're going into the whole story, the whole curse.
See, this is the thing I really liked at the beginning. I was like, oh, this story sounds awesome. I'm on board for this.
No. I thought the whole beginning was actually kind of drawn out.
Well,
and then like... It didn't really start.
It did have like 3 openings.
It really did not start like the whole bank robbery scene, it really did not start until they finally caught them. And then it was like the whole prison. And then that's like when the movie kind of took off. I was like, okay, you got Jack, you got Katrina, the divorce.
I feel the exact opposite way of that completely. Like literally, like the 3 openings before it opened, I was like, "This is all great story stuff. I'm really interested, really invested." And then like as soon as they got to that part, because that's when they started trying all the comedy, and it was so bad that like there was just a solid like half an hour of there of just jokes that didn't land for me. So and that wasn't because of the phone thing either.
So once they got past the Paul McCartney part, I was just like, it's getting epic. And I'm like, okay, they're reminiscing. I don't want to give too many spoilers, but they're back on a ship that they've been on before,
which they often do.
True.
And the Paul McCartney thing was publicity, so everybody knows about that. We're not really going spoiler heavy here, but
no. And then
spoiler alert.
And then they had key characters start to come back in. And then it just reminded me of the first one, where it was like very similar, some very similar villains, very similar plot. It took me on like a whole reminisce. I was like, okay, like this is what Pirates kind of needed to be back to.
There were a lot of similarities in the plot and the villains and everything like that, and that ended up working for me in the end. But my problem was, it was kind of like the opposite of the first movie for me, where the first movie was so funny, the whole time I was like, this is great. This movie, for the first time, I think in the entire Pirates franchise, I was like, the drama in this movie is so much better than the comedy on every level.
What?
Yeah.
I thought, I thought the movie was horribly corny, but I thought it was corny in a good way. I just accepted it. I was like, okay, the ending's corny, the beginning's corny, even the middle was kind of corny. But I just accepted, okay, this is what it is. I'm going to laugh at I thought, good time jokes. And I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to reminisce the entire time about how I wish this was the first movie. But it isn't. But I just thought it was fitting for it to kind of conclude that way.
Well, yeah, if that is the conclusion. People have been saying, like, well, they said it was the final adventure. I'm like, they said it's the beginning of the final adventure, which means there's another one. Part 2 of the final adventure. Which I'm totally down for, personally, because I could always go for another Pirates movie. There's this weird alternate history where people are like, the first one was a surprise hit, and then everyone after that was significantly worse. So I'm just like, that's not actually what happened when they came out, though. People started retconning history that way and being like, all the other ones were terrible. I'm like, we all loved 2 more than we loved 1. I personally really liked 4. Other people did, but 4 went back to making over $1 billion. 3 was a misstep, granted that. But 3 also, the only one that uses audio from the attraction, so that's bonus for me.
See. I'm completely different. I'm 1, this movie, and probably 3.
Wow.
Yes.
Who are you? How did you get here?
The battle scene in 3?
The battle scene in 3 is cool. I will say this. There was not very much fencing in this movie, and there was a ton of fencing in 2 and 3, and the fencing in 3 is amazing, and I love that about 3.
I think you just overthink the movies, but...
That's what we're here to do! If we weren't going to overthink it, we wouldn't be doing a movie show.
So, what is your rating for this movie?
I don't know. I've had a hard time going. Well, there were other parts of it that were really good too. Like, as much as I didn't like the comedy and everything like that, and some of the directing was weird. Some of the directing didn't help the comedy for me, but the music was really, really good.
1 out of 10.
I'm not done, man. The production was really, really good. Like the production design, the ships looked like better than ever for the most part. So I was done with that. But 1 out of 10, I mean, probably like a 6. 6.5, maybe.
Okay.
What do you think?
So don't listen to him, guys. I'll say this is probably going to be one of the top movies of the summer for me.
Have you seen the summer schedule? This summer is stacked.
Yes, But I know most summers to leave me very highly disappointed. This was a classic thrill ride. Jack Sparrow back to his humor. The graphics weren't too bad, actually. It was pretty good. Which actually surprised me because I'm not a huge fan of the IMAX 3D model. Personally, I think it's overpaid.
Well, it is overpaid. They force 3D into every movie now, so that's the problem. But
had all the characters I wanted, and it's one final venture, with all the pirate stories, and and the villain was actually enjoyable. So I'm gonna go with a solid 8.
My expectations for the villain were kind of low, and he ended up being a lot better than I thought he was going to be. So that's a plus.
It went in and explained so much about the past.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't know how you did not enjoy 8 out of 10, easy.
I loved the story. The story part of it was great. All the backstory, everything like that. Fundamentally, like the actual bones of what was there was amazing. It's just like the minute-to-minute dialogue. I was like, well, people said that in the last movie they felt like like Johnny Depp wasn't trying hard enough. Like, he was just kind of like, there in the movie. And I was
what was the last one? I didn't care about the last one.
I love those. This is like, everybody's like, oh, the last one was terrible. The last one made over $1 billion. I don't know what everybody's talking about.
Every movie makes over $1 billion.
Not every movie. Not every. The third one didn't make over $1 billion.
Release it to China and making $1 billion.
You know, it didn't win. The third, your beloved third movie in the series didn't make over $1 billion.
We need to check those facts.
I checked those facts earlier. Believe you, it made like $970 or something, but didn't break $1 billion.
I tell you what, where I thought this movie was kind of going on a cornier path. At the first it was kind of jumping around from scene to scene, trying to set it up. Where it kind of started to win me back was when it was going through the backstory of how everything ties into like how the past. It started kind of doing one big finale. And then it just started to kind of connect, and I was like, the humor was just the cherry on the top. You asked me, I enjoyed that 10 times better than I enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy is another thing. Maybe we'll do a retroactive review for Guardians of the Galaxy since that came out before we decided to do this. But the humor part of Guardians of the Galaxy was a mix too. But I don't know, both of them were really mixed. I don't know, something about these Disney produced movies lately. Some of the humor is really forced.
If you ask me, as long as Johnny Depp doesn't make another movie as him by himself, I'll go see it. He took a reduced role in this, and I was very appreciative.
I was really concerned about that at the beginning. At the beginning, I was like, looks like he's not even going to be in this movie. What's going on? That's the thing I loved about 4 that not everybody loved about 4 was the entire thing was like Barbossa and Jack and just like a brotastic adventure. That was great in 4. I don't know how you didn't like that. Did you even see 4?
I've seen 4. It just missed the point on me.
Yeah.
So you heard it here.
A whole array of opinions. We both liked it though. Ultimately, I mean, our scores weren't that far off. Like 6.5 versus 8. I mean,
you figure out he's the tougher grader, but
maybe if the movie was funny, it wouldn't be so tough.
The movie had great timely jokes. Go see it yourself. Write in our comment box. Let us know if you thought it was funny. If you thought it was poorly timed, let us know.
Some of the jokes were funny. Some of them were. Some of them were really not. And we'll see. You keep saying Final Adventure. We'll go see the next one. We'll see how that is because they're gonna make another one. It's gonna happen. It's gonna be real. As long as they keep making. Yeah. As long as they keep making.
Are they?
Yes. Disney's really the type of company that's like, this movie keeps making over $1 billion. We probably have milked it too much. They're doing a Star Wars every year for the rest of our lives. And there's already been one of those that's been bad, so... But
we're definitely going to have to do some retroactive reviews.
Oh, we'll go back. We'll talk about Guardians. We'll talk about how much I hate Star Wars Episode 7. How much I enjoy Rogue One. We'll talk about all those. We'll talk about all those. But for now, those are our feelings and opinions on Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales.
Hey, I think that tells the story.